So Warren Buffett has an indicator that he invented that he uses to value the stock market on more of a macro basis, like a long-term basis. And a lot of people are wondering, why is Buffett in so much cash right now? And I'm willing to bet it probably has something to do with his own indicator that he invented. So if we take a look at it, it's basically the overall valuation of the stock market, the total market cap of the US stock market in comparison to the total GDP of the US. And as you can see, back in '08, once it reached the second standard deviation, we had the '08 crash, or in the 2000s, sorry, that was the dot-com bubble. Anytime in the 60s, 70s that we hit this line, we kind of came back down. '08 was more of a housing-induced crash, so it didn't get too overvalued there. But, in the crash of 2022, once we went over the second standard deviation, prices came back down. And again, right now we're at about 211% market value to GDP. So we're the most overvalued we've ever been if we look at Buffett's indicator. So in this video, I wanted to apply Buffett's indicator to Canadian real estate to see where we stand, just as like a fun exercise. These numbers probably aren't going to be exact. It's really hard to gather data, but I don't know. Let's do it. So like I said, it's very hard to gather data, but what I did find was an article from 2020 that basically states by the end of 2020, our total market cap for Canadian real estate was worth 6.1 trillion. So if we take a look at home prices by the end of 2020, we were at 604,000. Right now we're at 712K. Now market cap, I don't believe works exactly like this, but again, we don't have a lot of data to go off of. So I'm just doing this very rough. So if we go 600 divided by 712, the market is up roughly 16% since the end of 2020. So if we take our market cap from the end of 2020 and we times it by 1.16, 6,100 times 1.16, that gives us about 7.1 trillion for the total market cap of Canadian real estate. So if we then take that and divide it by our current GDP, which would be 2,150, we are at 330% market cap to Canadian GDP ratio. So we are basically 1.5 times more overvalued than Buffett's indicator in the stock market. Now, if we compare this to, let's just say, the US in 2006, right? 2006, 2008, sometime in that time period where GDP was $13.8 trillion and the total value of the US real estate market was 25 trillion, that would give us roughly 160% value to GDP. So we are 2 times more overvalued via this indicator than the US in 2008 or 2006. Now, just for fun, let's go back in time and see how overvalued we've been in the past, right? So our GDP in 2000 was 744 billion. Now, I don't know if you would calculate this based on the dollar at that time or the dollar right now. Oh, sorry, let's do 2008 actually. What am I doing? 1.15 trillion USD. So I don't know if you would compare it to the way the dollar is now or the way the dollar is then, but let's just do it based on the way the dollar was back then, right? So, well, it was pretty much a one-to-one comparison. So basically $1.5 trillion was our GDP in 2008. So now let's take a look at home prices back then. So back then, the average home price was 361,000. Again, this isn't going to be exact, but that's basically, well, pretty much right in half from 712K, right? So home values were basically 50% cheaper. So again, if we take that, $7.1 trillion, we cut it in half, you get $3.5 trillion divided by 1,553. It was only 228% value to GDP, which is still very high in comparison to where the US was at the height of the '07, '08 crash. That being said, real estate has done nothing but go up since 2000, or since 2008, I should say. Prices are substantially higher, 3 or 4 times higher, at least in Vancouver and Toronto. So, I mean, if we're going to value Canadian real estate via the Buffett indicator, yes, it is overvalued. And I don't know exactly why there's so much more capital in Canadian real estate in comparison to our GDP, in comparison to the US. Like, maybe people are right. Maybe there is that much foreign capital here. Maybe there is that much money laundering happening in our market. But again, all of these indicators, like, if you could use one indicator to tell you exactly what was going to happen and that indicator was 100% accurate all the time, investing would be super easy. Because I mean, we've been in an inverted yield curve for 3 years now, and obviously the stock market is a lot higher than it was 3 years ago. So not every indicator is going to tell you exactly what you need to know. But if we were to value Canadian real estate and respect the Buffett indicator in Canadian real estate, yes, we are expensive. And yes, we've gotten way more expensive over the last 17 years. But I wouldn't put too much thought into this. I wouldn't, make decisions based on my Buffett indicator video for Canadian real estate. This was more of a fun exercise. And if you enjoyed it, please do like, subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling in the Fraser Valley, you can book a call with me using the link below. I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you. Peace.